They're playing my song. Good morning, Santa Clarita. Welcome in. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. I am Matt Watson, and this is SCVI and iLead Schools, Eye on the Valley. Our show, Eye on the Valley, you know us by now. We are brought to you by, like I said, SCVI and iLead Schools. We're a network of charter schools with campuses in Castaic, Agua Dulce, Lancaster. We've got a fully accredited online school, an exploding homeschool program called iLead Exploration. You can learn more about any of our schools by visiting us at iLeadschools.org, and you can click on our classroom-based schools, our virtual schools, our home schools, and find the perfect program for your kids, and even get on the wait list to enroll. So yeah, we're keeping our eye on education here in Santa Clarita and across the nation. But like the show says, we keep our eye on the Valley as well, bringing you everything you need to know about what's what here in the Valley. And we try to do so while bringing a smile to your face, because, if we didn't do that, you wouldn't be here, I wouldn't be here. So come on, let's giggle together and have a good time this morning. It is Friday morning. I told you last Friday morning the heat was here to stay, didn't I? Well, we've got another week or so of it, and if you thought this week was hot, next week is going to get even worse. It is cooling off to a pleasant 108 tomorrow, so enjoy that. But be a great Labor Day to head out to the beach or, stay inside, maybe visit a museum or... Hey, Rhea's Winery on Main. Do you guys have those misters up on your rooftop dining room yet? It's going to be a warm one, but enjoy the holiday weekend. But don't go anywhere yet. We've got a great show for you. Because the only thing hotter than the weather next week is today's edition of Eye on the Valley. That's right. We have got a great show. See, I think we put together a pretty good show every week. Producer Sarah does a fantastic job. But today's show is going to be... It's going to be something special. We're going to have a great show for you. We've got the founding director at iLead Agua Dulce Charter School coming up in just a moment, and she's got some amazing things going on out at iLead Agua Dulce. A little bit later on in the show, we've got Assembly Member Suzette Valladares. We'll get caught up with her. She's been busy in Sacramento the last couple of years, and we'll also ask what her priorities are for her next term, should she win one. And we've also got a great Patriots Day event for you coming up that you'll want to hear about. Tim Trauig is going to be coming in the studio and sharing a little information about that. And who knows? It's a jam-packed show. We might still have a little bit of time for Big T, maybe. I'm not sure, Mom. It's a busy show, okay? So leave me alone. It's my show. I don't have to share it with my stupid brother if I don't want to, okay, Mom? Phew. All right, that got a little intense. Sorry about that. But I am serious, Mom. We'll see. Anyways, let's get to my first guest. My first guest grew up with a true heart for education. She attended Van Nuys High School and then later the University of Laverne. Lisa Latimer began teaching at Pinecrest Schools in Lancaster in 1988, where she excelled, becoming an expert in early literacy. She soon rose to leadership, becoming the director of that very same Pinecrest School, and today, the proud mother and grandmother lives in Rancho Vista, California with her loving husband and is the founding director of iLead's campus in Agua Dulce. She's an unashamed parrot head who spends her free time wasting away in Margaritaville playing with her grandchildren. Lisa Latimer, good morning. Welcome back to Eye on the Valley.
Hi, Matt. Good morning.
It's good to talk to you, Lisa. We're glad to have you. I wanted to, for those who haven't had a chance to see your amazing campus, I wanted to introduce our listeners to iLead Agua Dulce. You're starting up, gosh, what is this? Is this your fifth year already at iLead Agua Dulce?
Yes, we're on our fifth year right now.
Right, so you're launching your fifth year. It's gone by so quick. You know, we had that little speed bump there for a couple of years. You know, the whole pandemic shut down and caused you guys to shift gears, but I have to say your team did an amazing job getting into, through, and beyond the pandemic. Let's start with a little bit of a history of your school. So y'all kind of had a quick, let's call it a quick gestation period, right? You guys got started up kind of with short notice and launched into one of the area's most beautiful schools, both physically and just kind of the overall ethos of your school is just absolutely gorgeous. Tell us a little bit about the history behind iLead Agua Dulce, because you were with SCVI, iLead's founding school, but then a few years ago you moved over to, like I said, our newest campus. So why Agua Dulce? Tell us about how that school got started.
We did. Well, the community of Agua Dulce sought out iLead to continue to have an open school in their area. And they asked us, I believe it was in June or I think it was in July. We quickly got, I was asked to help open the school. We got our charter together and it was approved. And within 8 weeks, we were going to open to start school. So we had literally 8 weeks to get our school up and running with a very small crew. And it was absolutely amazing. The family community there is incredible. I've been in education for over 30 years, and I've been involved in amazing communities, but this one is particularly special because we had a school beautification day. We had no idea how many families we were going to have enrolled, and we had weeds that were taller than I am. The school needed a lot of TLC, and we decided to have a school beautification day. We put the word out there. I thought maybe 10 families might show up if we were lucky, and I just remember standing there in the middle of the campus watching over close to like 70 to 100 people there. It was parents and kids and just people in the community that wanted to help see the school be successful. And so they brought their weed whackers and hoses and paintbrushes. And it was only supposed to be a 3-hour event, and it wound up being a full weekend. And we were ready to open. It was absolutely amazing. And then our family community hasn't stopped. They have been supportive of us the entire way, and we're just very, very lucky. And it is a beautiful campus. We have a lot of land. We're nestled between ranches, and Vasquez Rocks is practically our backyard. So it is a beautiful, very serene area.
It really is. It's just so much fun to be on your campus, and you're absolutely right. I see it time and time again. I love how much of a community school you have because, yeah, a lot of your families do come from close by, not all of them, but even folks that don't have kids at your school are there participating in events, helping keep the school cleaned up. It really is just the absolute epitome of a community school. Now, your role as a director, I was sharing with someone right before we got started on the show. No, it's not principal, it's director because we do things a little bit differently. Your role as director, how is that different from being principal at a traditional school? Because when it comes down to it, you're the leader of the school. Change the name or not, that's what you do. But we changed the name because the role is a little bit different. How is being a director at an iLead school different from being a principal?
I think a principal has a very set skill set of responsibilities, not skill set, but they have very specific responsibilities that they need to do. And with a director, we have extra responsibilities. So we're not just overseeing the classrooms and curriculum. We are involved in every single aspect. We're our own LEA. There's a lot more involved. So I just want to say it's probably the responsibilities that are placed upon us for running the school.
So for our listeners, LEA is a local educational agency, which is kind of what districts are. Charter schools, now they're free public schools. There's no tuition involved. And the great thing is our borders are kind of wide open. You have families that come to you from the Palmdale-Lancaster area, from the San Fernando Valley area, from Santa Clarita, and then, of course, right there in the Acton-Agua Dulce area. But the fact that you're your own LEA, that means you're kind of the principal and superintendent of your own little one-school district, and you report directly to your school board, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So now you started out that first year as I think a K through 5 school. Am I right?
We did. We opened up as a K through 5 school with being able to open grade level every single year. So now we are a TK through 10th grade school.
Yeah, so
And we're really excited to have high school on board.
absolutely, and I do want to talk about the high school in just a little bit. So you opened up really quickly the middle school, and now you've got the high school. But this year you're offering something new and exciting for your middle schoolers. You call them explorative classes, and it's a little bit different than exploratory classes. And I actually had to look up the definition of explorative, and that's exactly what your kids are doing because I've seen them do it. So, what are these explorative classes, and what is the purpose?
Well, we want our learners to have experiences in an array of things to be able to spark an interest in something and maybe help create a passion and something that they necessarily wouldn't have a passion in because they weren't exposed to it.
Hmm.
So we have music, which I think a lot of programs do, but we are incorporating guitar and keyboard and drums, and the whole thought behind that is introducing them to the history of music as well, and to be able to play an instrument, so we can have a little band going.
Nice.
We also have our Exploratorium, which is a smart lab, and it has high-end technology, all different kinds of programs. Something I can't even remember, and it really has a lot of hands-on that goes with those programs. So like creating a roller coaster and then programming it through the computers. We have robotics. It has an array of things for the learners to be able to dabble in and really get involved with. We have our makery, which has power tools and hand tools. And when you walk in there, it looks like Home Depot. We have tons of different tools and different items to go with those tools so they can tinker and build and really hone in on that design thinking and be able to build things on campus as well. We also implemented culinary arts, farm to table.
Oh,
So we have beautiful gardens, and finally, after all of these years, they're actually thriving, and we have vegetables and fruits, and we have grapevines and fruit trees. And the thought behind that is to take all of the food that we're growing and bring it to our kitchen and be able to create different dishes from that, and also learning about dishes, cultural dishes as well. So Ms. Shauna is amazing, and she's starting that process. We also have a lot of chickens on campus, so we have eggs as well.
nice.
And all of it kind of ties in. We can take those culinary art pieces, the eggs, build things for it, maybe do an entrepreneurial piece where the kids can sell, their goods that they're making. And so we want them to have, like I said, just an array of experiences. Second semester, we're adding in art,
Mm-hmm.
and then we also have animal science as well. We have a lot of animals on campus. We have alpaca. No, not alpaca. I'm sorry. Yeah, we have an alpaca.
Is it a llama or an alpaca? How can you tell, Lisa? How can you tell?
We have alpaca and goat, and we have emu. We have micro mini donkey and 2 micro mini cows. So the learners are really diving deep into the behavior of the animals, how to help train them. And so they're going to learn about that with Miss Paula, and then in turn they're going to help educate the rest of our school on the animals. So we're starting an entire like an animal science where we're educating, and then the kids get to interact with the animals.
That is super exciting. Gosh, you've got animals, you've got a garden. You said you're going farm to table with your culinary arts program, where kids are growing vegetables and they're I guess, what do? You harvest, you collect the eggs, and they're going to be cooking. So you've got 6,000-year-old technology that kids are employing, along with the latest 21st century technology there in your Exploratorium, where kids are coding, designing, engaging in robotics. And you mentioned it's all designed to help kids find their passion. Forget middle school. Even when I was in high school, I don't think our schools were were trying to help us find our passion, help us find what we loved. Now, every now and then, my guidance counselor would have us take a personality test or an aptitude inventory to figure out what we might be good at, but we really weren't exploring what we were passionate about. And so some folks would kind of get tracked into careers that they might be good at, but they didn't love. Why is finding the kids' passion so important, Lisa?
It's incredibly important so they can be successful in life, be happy, do what they want to do, and it just makes them a better person. I think that when you're able to be happy with what you're doing, it doesn't feel like work. So I love going to my campus. I don't feel it's a job or work because I love being there. It's my passion, and I want that for all of our learners. It's to be able to not just one or two passions, but, give them an entire experience, which is really important.
I absolutely love that. There's that famous story when he was 5 years old, somebody asked John Lennon what he wanted to be when he grows up, and his response was happy. And that's what we want. We want our kids to be happy and successful. Lisa Latimer, school director and at the innovative iLead Agua Dulce Charter School. She's got things on her campus that you have never heard of before. Like she said, she's got emus. She's also got airplanes. You'll hear more about that when we get back. I'm Matt Watson, and you're listening to SCVI and iLead School's Eye on the Valley on your hometown station, KHTS.
If you need help at home or at the office, call Made For You. Made For You is a locally owned, bonded, and licensed cleaning service with over 20 years of experience. All employees are vetted for your protection. No need to buy products or equipment. The Made For You staff comes complete with everything needed to make your home or office cleaner than ever. Hire Made For You one time, as needed, or an ongoing basis. No room is off limits. Laundry and ironing services are also available. Call Made For You for a free estimate. 255-2922. That's 255-2922.
It's officially pumpkin spice season at Dunkin'. So much to choose from. Pumpkin cream cold brew, pumpkin spice signature latte, pumpkin donuts and muffins, pumpkin K-Cups. Now with the Dunkin' Rewards app, enjoy a $3 medium pumpkin cream cold brew or pumpkin spice signature latte now through September 13th. Order ahead with the Dunkin' app and accumulate points. Located on Bouquet Canyon in the Lowe's Shopping Center and on Sierra Highway in Canyon Country. Santa Clarita runs on Dunkin'.
Dr. Neil Green has been treating Santa Clarita patients and making them smile for over 35 years. As a child, Dr. Green had a fear of the dentist and disliked even simple checkups. Today, he's sensitive to your needs. If you have anxiety about getting a checkup, he understands your apprehension even if you've avoided the dentist for years. Discover the comfort of visiting a dentist with Dr. Neil Green. Dentistry is his profession. People are his focus. NeilGreenDDS.com. That's Neil, N-E-A-L, GreenDDS.com.
Many families face a new challenge. Childcare has forced one parent out of the workforce. Otter has created a solution. Otter is a childcare marketplace that connects Santa Clarita parents who need childcare with stay-at-home parents who can care for your kids alongside their own. Otter unlocks the ability for those parents to earn money and provide badly needed childcare for our valley. Otter connects you with your neighbors. Register for free at withotter.com. Withotter.com. Otter, childcare that feels like family.
Your hometown station.
KHTS is the only station I listen to.
98.1 FM and AM 1220.
Welcome back. You're listening to KHTS, your hometown station. 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is Matt Watson, and you're listening to SCVI and iLead School's Eye on the Valley. This morning, we're talking to the school director at the innovative iLead Agua Dulce Charter School, Lisa Latimer. Lisa, before we went to break, we were talking a little bit. We were talking mostly about your middle school, but we mentioned your high school a little bit. And this year, your high school has grown. Last year, you launched your high school with 9th grade. Now you've got 9th and 10th grade. And I've been there. I've seen your high school. It is just so cool. It is so warm, so inviting, so much fun to be in. Tell us a little bit about the high school at iLead Agua Dulce. What's it like? How's it different from a regular high school? Tell us all about it.
Well, it is amazing. Dr. Armine Mofsisian has helped to create such an amazing environment with our learners. last year with our ninth graders, the very first project that they worked on was designing spaces, because we wanted to make sure that their space was conducive for them, their learning, someplace that they want to come that they could be comfortable in. So when you walk in, the actual physical space looks comfortable and a place where it's calming, where they can learn. They have different areas set up. They have their own recording studio. And now that we've added 10th grade, we've added additional room, and it's pretty much, we've duplicated the feeling in both rooms. And so we want our learners to feel like it's their space. The outdoor space is amazing too. They have hammocks. They have really cool outdoor furniture, so they could even learn outdoor, be outside learning, not just within four walls. So it's a really great aesthetic program. But more importantly, the academics, they're diving very deep into subjects because we're a smaller program. There's such amazing, deep conversation about the topics that they're working on. They're meeting with experts in the field. They just, last year, and actually they're getting ready this year to start a mycology project, and they're working with a mycologist. And like I said, because it's small, we're able to meet all of their needs and really individualize the program for them.
And, I think that physical environment really leads into the academic environment. You're absolutely right. The kids design the space kind of like they would design their own bedroom, and it does. You walk in and it feels like a teenager's space because they've designed it. They're comfortable in there, and so then when they get into the academics, they're comfortable speaking their mind and exploring and investigating. They're meeting with a mycologist. Lisa, what is mycology?
I believe it's the study of mushrooms.
Oh, cool. So all right.
They did this amazing project. They had all different mushrooms that they were growing, and they had them in Petri dishes, and they were doing. I'm not the one to articulate it beautifully. I think Dr. Mopsisian could. So, but I do know that there was a lot of critical thinking happening, a lot of hands-on experience taking place, and the learners really were able to get a lot out of it. And then they, in turn, taught the younger grades about mycology. So some of the fifth graders and sixth graders and seventh graders would go in there to learn about it. So when you can teach it, that they truly understand it.
Yeah, and speaking of going deep and really rigorous with their academics, you're starting to build your IB program. I'm talking about the International Baccalaureate program, their four-year high school. Can you tell our listeners just a little bit about what the IB is and why it's beneficial?
Well, some programs have AP, and we decided to go with the IB process because it has it's international, and it makes the learners more globally aware, and it dives deeper. It's more critical thinking. It is a very rigorous program, and we felt because we are iLead and the I stands for international, that we really need to focus on that global awareness and be able to give them those experiences. To think critically on a global level.
And it really does. Just the way the curriculum is designed and the way the entire academic IB program is set up, it requires the kids to go really deep. I remember watching one of our classes at SCDI talk about just the entirety of human understanding. What do we know, and how do we know that we know it? Exploring kind of just really deep philosophical things like that. And then, of course, also with their different subjects, with history and English and math and science, just going so deep and understanding multifaceted approaches to all the different subjects that they're studying. Speaking of multifaceted approaches to different subjects, now in your well, I'm not sure what grades. You've got some pretty dynamic projects coming up. I do know that your 5th and 6th graders are going to be participating in something called Dream Up to Space. And that's not just laying in the grass there and staring at the stars at night, is it? What's going on with Dream Up to Space?
I love Dream Up to Space. We have participated in this every year. and it is essentially a lot of research that takes place, and it's coming up with an experiment that can be conducted in microgravity. And so our learners are thinking of a very tiny experiment that fits in a very tiny test tube, and that could be done in microgravity. So they're learning about microgravity, the astronauts, space, and then coming up with their own experiment. They're meeting with experts in such as NASA scientists, and then wherever their experiment takes them, they're meeting with experts in that field as well. And the ultimate goal is to have to present their findings and their research to NASA experts, and then ultimately have their experiment flown to the International Space Station. Our very first year, we had a team selected. They got to go to Florida, present to NASA, and then they were able to watch the launch of their experiment go to the International Space Station. And then we've had a couple kids also join in with other iLead kids throughout the last couple of years and have the same thing happen. So I don't know how many schools are able to give their kids that experience where they actually get to have something flown to the International Space Station and have their experiment conducted. It's amazing. It's very rigorous, a lot of research taking place, and then they get to see the final culmination with the launch.
How exciting is that? That is just so cool. Because I remember at best my science classes, when my science teacher would get super excited, they would say things like, look, you're doing things just like a real scientist would. And that was the most exciting our class ever got. Your kids, 5th and 6th graders, are doing things as real scientists. They're proposing experiments. If those experiments get approved, they're flying them to the space station where NASA scientists are actually performing their experiments to your learners' specifications, and then sending them back for your learners to analyze and present. It's just so incredible. You've also got a glider project where kids are actually learning to fly on your campus. Tell us a little bit about that.
Right. This will be our second time doing this, and they're learning about the principles of flight in a variety of ways. We connect them with pilots that help come out and demonstrate for them the principles of flight. We have simulators that they go on, and they do a lot of different experiments. And then, like I said, the culmination will be going to Wrightwood, where they will actually step into a glider with a professional and fly the glider. So we've had a couple kids who did that and then wound up going further to get their pilot's license. Yeah, so everything is so applicable with project-based learning. It's not just reading a book; it's actually doing it, and then again sparking that passion. And we might have, some of those kids that receive their pilot's license might do it further and go and fly, for the airlines or whatever they feel like. But it's really doing things where we can show kids how this applies to real life and them doing it actually. So it's a great project. We can't wait to launch it this spring.
It is so fantastic. And when I used to think gliders, I used to think the little balsa wood planes that I would chuck across my backyard. But these are real airplanes. The only thing different about them is that they don't have engines, but your kids get towed up a mile high and they pilot these gliders. And what I love about all these different things that you've got going on, whether it's your culinary arts program, your animal science program, your coding and robotics, the glider, the dream up to space, everything that you're doing reminds me so much of like that typical 3-year-old, right? Let me do it. Let me do it. And then we teach those kids when they get in school, like my brother likes to say, you think you can do these things, but you can't, Nemo. But we let the kids do it, right? And so they keep believing that they can do more, and they can do, and they step up every time and show us what they're capable of. It is so exciting, such a powerful education. This cute little shady school tucked back there behind Vasquez Rocks, but you've got kids flying gliders, kids launching experiments to space, kids training and taking care of animals and learning all about animal science, and you've got an outdoor classroom. You've got all these amazing things. And while you are a regular classroom-based school, drop them off at 8, pick them up at 3, you've also got a homeschool program for families that are interested in a little bit more of a hands-on approach to their child's education, that want a homeschool model. Can you tell us just a little bit about your homeschool program? How does that work?
It is also project-based. So they're working with the families on how to present projects with their children. They are working at home, so it is a homeschool program, but they do offer workshops on our campus a couple times a week for those learners that want to have that on-site experience as well. And it's working beautifully. They're able to participate in a couple of activities that we do on campus. They're able to have their own garden beds and interact with the animals if they choose. They also come to all of our other events that we have, like our Jamboree and our boxcar movie night. So just because they're at home doesn't mean they're not part of us. It's a great program with Miss Angela. Mm-hmm.
Wow. So it's not just, because that's always the fear, right? If you're in a homeschool program, you're going to be totally disconnected from that school experience. But your kids are not. They're completely connected to that amazing school and community, and have the opportunity to opt into some of these great projects that you're running on campus, even if they're a homeschooler.
Yeah.
Lisa, I can't help but think that there are folks listening wondering, okay, my kid is a few weeks into school now, but this sounds like the right place. Are you still accepting students, new students enrolling, or are you closed off for the year? Or how can people find you? How can people get a tour? How can people enroll if they're interested?
Well, we just started school last week, so we haven't really gone deep into our projects yet. So now would be a great time if they decided they wanted to come over. But we do accept children all year long as we have the space. Okay. We do have waiting lists in several of the grade levels, but there's always movement. And they could contact our school at 661-268-6386, and our office manager, Miss Gladys, who everyone knows on campus, would be more than happy to help them. They can go to our website page, iLead Aqua Dulce, and take a look at our Monday messages and pictures, and to see what we're all about and what we're doing on campus. And all of the information is right there. They can click a button to be able to enroll. And if they want to know more about what's happening in the classrooms, I take pictures and then we post them on Facebook with the activities that are happening. So we have our iLead Aqua Dulce Facebook page, and then we have our iLead Through Play for our littles Facebook page as well. And we're really good about posting pictures and then explaining what we're doing at that moment so parents can see.
I saw a cool post the other day about a design challenge that your middle schoolers were engaging in Miss Hoppy's class. That was really exciting. Lisa Latimer, the director of iLead Aqua Dulce. Again, to enroll or get more information, just head over to their website, iLeadAquaDulce.org, iLeadAquaDulce.org. Lisa, thanks so much for joining us today. You have a great year at iLead Aqua Dulce. Send my love to Petunia the pig.
I will. I will. Thank you, Matt. Have a great one.
Have a good weekend, Lisa. I am Matt Watson. You're listening to SCVI and iLead School's Eye on the Valley. When we come back, a cool event for you to attend to honor Patriots Day on your hometown station, KHTS.
Do you suffer from peripheral neuropathy in your hands or feet? One drug after another, continuing numbness, tingling, burning pain, balance problems, decreased quality of life? Are you experimenting with drugs like Lyrica, Neurontin, gabapentin, Cymbalta with limited success and your doctor telling you just have to live with it? My name is Dr. Thomas Palucki, DC, host of Get Better with Dr. Palucki and founder of Neuropathy Dr. X. I'm here to tell you that there is now a non-invasive natural solution to your neuropathy right here in Santa Clarita. A solution that addresses the underlying causes, and we're proud to say that we have an 87 to 97% success rate with neuropathy sufferers in getting their lives back. I'd like to invite you to our next seminar, when we'll teach you how to reverse this deadly condition that affects over 50 million Americans today. To reserve your spot now, call 753-9340. This is a free seminar, but seating is limited, so call 753-9340 now.
Why did Mercedes-Benz of Valencia win the Dealer of Excellence Award in 2019?
Because we strive to provide the most outstanding sales experience.
Mercedes-Benz of Valencia COO Chris Paz.
We know you have high expectations. Our stellar team will meet and exceed your expectations. That's why we were named Mercedes Best of the Best, placing us in the top 10% of all Mercedes dealers nationwide.
Find out how you can lease a new Mercedes for unbelievably low monthly payments. Details at mbzvalencia.com.
Welcome to the San Diego Zoo Safari Park, where life-changing moments happen daily. Set out on safari and discover 1,800 acres of sprawling savannas teeming with wildlife, as well as world-class botanical gardens. There's no place like it on Earth. Encounter rhinos, giraffes, wildebeest, and large herds of wildlife roaming together. Journey through the bamboo forests and come face to face with Sumatran tigers. Hop alongside kangaroos and dive underwater to meet the only two platypuses outside of Australia and experience the awe-inspiring giants of Elephant Valley. When you're here, you'll discover adventure is in every moment, and a moment can change a lifetime. For your family's ticket to fun, visit San Diego Zoo Wildlife Alliance.org. That's San Diego Zoo Wildlife Alliance.org.
If you need a new door, Preferred Glass and Windows has you covered. Don't let the name fool you. Preferred Glass and Windows is the one-stop glass shop, but they also do high-quality door installation with a variety of products, including vinyl, fiberglass, aluminum, woodclad, and wood. Entry doors, wardrobe doors, patio doors, metal security doors, security screen doors, swinging and sliding doors, and also storefront door repair. Various grid patterns and etch glass is also available. Installation typically takes only a day, and it's backed by a lifetime guarantee. For more information, 255-1170.
Your hometown station, KHTS.
Welcome back. You're listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is Matt Watson, and you're listening to SCVI and iLead School's Eye on the Valley. My next guest is joining me here in studio. His name is Tim Trauig. In 2015, Tim and his wife Susan founded Guardians of Santa Clarita Valley out of the recognition of the need to bring like-minded individuals with similar backgrounds and experiences together to form a community of support and action. They wanted to provide a place where individuals could do life together and encourage one another to live life at their full potential. And next weekend for Patriots Day, they're putting together an event that you're going to want to attend. Tim, welcome back to Eye on the Valley.
It's good to be back, Matt. Thank you for having me.
It's always a pleasure. So before we get into this awesome event that you're putting on, tell us a little bit about Guardians of Santa Clarita.
Guardians is a local nonprofit, fairly new to the Valley. We started last year in January. We had been around about 5 years before that, but decided to turn it into a nonprofit because we felt there was so much more we could do in our community, supporting our veterans, military, law enforcement, and firefighter community of men and women. And it really kind of came out of my own experience on the fire department for 35 years of realizing that there's a huge impact of seeing the trauma and the daily just disasters that happen in our communities on a regular basis, and realized there needed to be a place, a safe place, where men and women could come and find support, hope, and healing amongst their peers. And it's peer-to-peer support which makes it so powerful. Mm-hmm. And we really believe in just bringing healing to the whole person and their families. Because there's really collateral damage from all of that. We all have a carousel of slides that we can't unsee. And those things can have a real impact, a negative impact in your life if you don't have a safe place where you can process some of the emotions that are behind all of that. Mm-hmm. Us fire, police, and military guys are kind of tough nuts to crack to get to open up and talk about feelings and emotion. That's just not a comfortable place for them. But because of that and the cultures that we've grown up in, which really promote kind of shoving all those emotions in a box so you could do your job and be able to continue day after day.
Well, in order to be successful in something like that, you've got to develop that tough outer shell. Yes. Otherwise, it gets to you while you're in the midst of things and you're not able to be successful.
Exactly. But there's collateral damage to that if you just do that all the time in life. Mm-hmm. It creates problems for your family. It creates problems in how you relate to maybe your wife or a spouse or your children or to the community in general. And so we really work on helping men and women not just survive life, but thrive in life. And I think sometimes they don't realize that some of the collateral damage they have experiences from, like divorce to depression to drug abuse to alcoholism to domestic violence. A lot of those things, I believe, are directly related to some of the trauma that they've experienced throughout many years or exposures in the military, deployments, things like that. And so we started Guardians to really do something about that. Tired of seeing the stats of 22 veterans a day, up to 22 veterans committing suicide. Yeah. Today, the stats for fire and law enforcement, they say that more firefighters and law enforcement now will die from suicide than in the line of duty. So you can see the impact is really impacting this population of people.
That is tragic, but bless you guys for doing what you do, because these are the folks that take care of us every single day, both here in our hometown as well as around the globe, and you guys are stepping up to say, all right, now somebody needs to take care of you all. So thank you for that. It's a beautiful organization. Thank you. And I know our listeners are going to want to get involved. We'll talk about how they can connect with you in just a little bit. But I mentioned this event that you've got coming up. Can you tell us a little bit about what you've got going on for Patriots Day?
Sure. Last year we actually held our first Patriots Day event, and it was such a success, and it was something that we wanted to continue to do out here in Santa Clarita Valley, and that was provide a day of what we call Remembrance and Reflection.
We're talking about on September 11th.
Yes, the 9/11 event. We swore we'd never forget, right?
Right.
It was something that we, all talked about, especially back in those days, about we're never going to forget. And that's something that we want to make sure happens, that we will never forget the day and what happened on that day. So Saturday the 10th, at 8 a.m. at 28776 The Old Road in the LA Police Gear Higher Vision parking lot.
Okay.
Yep, we're going to have this event. It's going to be a car show, pancake breakfast, but really a day of remembrance and reflection with some special guests that are going to be there. We've got Representative Mike Garcia is going to speak. We've got our Assembly member, Suzette Valladares.
All right.
We've got our Pro Tem Mayor, Jason Gibbs. We've got some really great speakers who are going to share some of their thoughts about that day. And then we have some great sponsors, too, that have partnered with us for this event this year. We've definitely got KHTS, who's been our partner last year and this year. We so appreciate all the support. And we have our title sponsor this year is Audi of Valencia.
Okay.
And I want to thank Tony over there for joining our team. We have Mercedes-Benz of Valencia, Jennifer Herring Real Estate, MB2 Entertainment, which took over the Mount Tasia spot, which we're so excited about to have out here. Lexus of Valencia, LA Police Gear, Denise Light, who's running for City Council, and Soapy Suds, who has an amazing car wash on the Old Road. I don't know if you've ever been there, but they're wonderful people there. And then Higher Vision, who has their church right there, is going to open up what they call Play Junction for all the kids for our event, which is something we're doing new this year because we really want it to be a family-oriented event.
That's awesome because the kids' space at Higher Vision is an amazing
space. Oh, my
space.
gosh. It's like Disneyland. Matter of fact, one of the guys that designed that worked for Disney, so that's why it looks the way it looks. So we're going to open that up. They're going to open that up and allow kids to come in and play in the double-decker bus, video games, crawl through the jungle gym thing that goes up into the ceiling and all of that, and really have a place that they can hang out for the day as well. So that's going to be great. And then we have Toyota Valencia and Fire in Motion, who is one of our own guardians that owns Fire in Motion and provides a fire apparatus for our event and for the studios and some of the vehicles we had in the 4th of July parade.
Wow, that is so cool. So you've got these VIPs that are speaking, a lot of our locally electeds, Congressman Garcia, Assemblywoman Valladares, who's actually going to be on here in just a few minutes.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, you're warming the mic up for her.
All right.
Like you said, Council Member, Mayor Pro Tem Jason Gibbs.
Yes.
You got pancakes, which gets me to the event. You got the classic car show and things for kids. It's going to be a great event. Again, you said on September 10th, in the Higher Vision parking lot at what time?
At 8 a.m. It goes 8 to noon. Breakfast, the ceremony starts at 8:30 a.m. so they can be there for the speakers. 9 o'clock, we're going to serve breakfast from 9 to 11, and we'll end it at 12 noon. And it's going to be an amazing event. We might have a couple of flyovers that day, depending on how busy LA County Fire is and how busy LA County Sheriff is, just to kind of give you a little hint there. So we're hoping that all works out for our day as well. But it's going to be a wonderful day for the entire family to come out, not just classic cars, but any year of car. Somebody in the community wants to show off what they got, come on out and just display your car there. And once we run out of spots, we'll have to turn people away. But we've got up to 200 spots available.
Okay, so talking about spots available, how do people get involved? Do they need to buy a ticket? Do they need to reserve something? Or is it just show up at 8 a.m. on the 10th?
Everything on this event is free. They can just show up. They can go to our website at guardiansscv.org. There's flyer on there that they can read more information about. There's also a place that they can donate if they want to support our cause, which we love. And is part of why we do this event, too, is to connect with others who might be fire, police, and military or families of, and say, hey, come be a part of, our community of Guardians, or support what we do if it feels like something you are passionate about and want to support.
Sure. So, so you mentioned folks can go to your website and donate. Are there other ways that community members can get involved? Because our community they're
amazing.
They're generous, but they're involved. Folks will donate, but they'll also donate their time, their lower back, and their leg strength.
Absolutely.
And so if folks want to get involved volunteering or something like that, can they do that?
They sure can. They can call us at our phone number, which is 661-347-6307, and call us and just let us know that they're interested in volunteering or being a sponsor at one of our events, or just getting involved with Guardians in general. Because we don't just we have weekly support groups that we do. We also do service projects where we go out in the community and look for where we can help with veterans. Beautiful. We also look for homeless veterans, try to help them get their lives back. We've worked at the Dream Center downtown LA. They have a veterans floor and a women's veteran housing area that we've done some work at. So we really try to have a real balanced approach as an organization to not only give to our local first responders, Guardians, but also where we can help out in the community and other places.
I love that. And as you mentioned, our first responders, it's, every time they step in there in time of tragedy and they develop like what you called a slideshow, these images, it's like, throwing another heavy something in their backpack, and they're carrying all this weight, and you guys are providing that for them to offload the load, that burden that they've been carrying on for all of us, so that the rest of us don't have to. It really is beautiful. And again, you're just connecting with these firefighters, law enforcers, military men and women to take care of them because they do such a great job of taking care of us. Again, September 10th, 8 a.m., Higher Vision parking lot, pancakes at 8:30.
You bet.
No.
That's
pancakes at 8:30.
At 9. No,
pancakes at 9.
That's right.
Okay, program starts at 8:30. Pancakes at 9. You got the classic cars. You got great things for the kids.
Yep. There'll be a fire apparatus, law enforcement vehicles, military vehicles. It's quite an event to see.
I absolutely love it, and I think, I don't know about everybody else, but for me, I love, when you got the littles, just stick them in that thing, let them climb all over, then go check out the classic cars.
Right. I think there might even be some face painting going on, too, there.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. All righty. Well, thank you so much. Again, that's guardiansscv.org for more information. Tim Trauig, founder of Guardians of Santa Clarita Valley. You're an amazing man. Thank you for all you do. We'll be back with Assemblywoman Suzette Valladares. Stay tuned.
Experience Frontier Toyota's all-new hot and exciting Toyota lineup. Serving the Santa Clarita Valley for over 30 years. Frontier Toyota, the Camry, Corolla, and Prius Kings. They're tops in Tacoma and Tundra trucks. Frontier Toyota, the new way of car buying. Shop from home at frontiertoyota.com or visit their showroom at Valencia and Creekside. Discover a whole new car buying experience with your friends at Frontier Toyota.
You already know Salt Creek Grill has the best food in our valley. Well, now you can have Salt Creek's gourmet meals catered to your event.
I'm Greg Amsler, owner of Salt Creek Grill. I'd like to introduce you to a new level of catering, featuring our catering director, Tamara Levine.
Salt Creek Grill creates memorable experiences, which leaves our clients and guests with a sense of awe and excitement. From menu development to picturesque presentation, you'll enjoy culinary excellence and creative catering.
Salt Creek Grill, a new level of catering.
Not every attorney has the tools, expertise, and stamina to turn over every stone, go that extra mile, and win like their own personal life depends on it. I'm Susan Owen, managing partner at personal injury law firm Owen, Patterson & Owen. This is who I am and what we stand for. Recovering over $10 billion for accident victims. If you've been injured, there's one firm to call. That's OPO Law. 888-OPO-WINS, and we do. 888-OPO-WINS or OPOLaw.com.
KHTS, AM 1220 and 98.1 FM Santa Clarita. It's 9 o'clock. Time for national news on KHTS.
The president says it's good news. Lisa Brady, Fox News, highlighting the new jobs report heading into Labor Day weekend with 315,000 jobs created in August.
The bottom line is jobs are up, wages are up, people are back to work, and we're seeing some signs that inflation maybe, I'm not overpromising, may be beginning to ease.
Insisting again that his policies are working and countering Republican criticism of his agenda ahead of the midterms. House Republican leaders want public hearings about the raid on the former president's home in Florida, and they're putting the U.S. Attorney General and the FBI chief on notice, expecting them to appear and to provide all communications and documents relating to the FBI raid. Well, that list just got longer as the Justice Department releases a more detailed account of what was taken during the search.
Now, this release is tied to a judge's order, and some of the information we knew, some of it is new. For instance, we now know that the government removed multiple documents with secret and confidential markings, as well as multiple magazines, newspapers, press articles, articles of clothing, gift items, even empty folders which were labeled return to staff secretary or military aid.
Fox's Mark Meredith in Washington. A federal judge is still considering the Trump request for a third-party review of the documents. For the second time this week, Iran briefly seizes U.S. drones at sea before releasing them.
Tehran says its Navy seized 2 drones before letting them go. The earlier incident involved Iran's Revolutionary Guard, not the Navy. Commander Timothy Hawkins, a spokesman for the U.S. Navy's Mideast-based 5th Fleet, acknowledged the incident to the Associated Press, but did not elaborate. Iranian state TV says the Iranian Navy found, quote, several unmanned spying vessels abandoned in the international maritime routes.
Fox's Tanya J. Powers, this as the Biden administration tries to revive the nuclear deal with Iran. America is listening to Fox News.
Every search you make, every click you take, they'll be watching you.
Are you tired of being tracked online? There's a simple solution. DuckDuckGo. It's an all-in-one privacy app with a built-in private search engine, web browser, one-click data clearing, email protection, and more, all for free. Download the app today and get the most comprehensive privacy protection with the push of a button. DuckDuckGo. Privacy simplified.
The Labor Day event from Dell Technologies is here. End the summer strong by starting up a new season of productivity. Your business upgrade begins with up to 48% off top-rated laptops, like Vostro, taking performance to the next level with 12th Gen Intel Core processors. It's time to push your growing business even further. What's next for you? Upgrade today by calling 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
Big questions in Michigan after a man was able to buy one of the state's voting machines on eBay.
A Michigan voting machine apparently found its way to an Ohio Goodwill store, then to eBay. It was purchased for $1,200 by a man who says he collects old election equipment.
Voting machines in eBay or in GovDeals or any of the site happens all the time. Most of the time, the seller is a government, a county, or it is a electronic recycling.
Harry Hursty says he reached out to the Michigan Secretary of State's office that's described the voting machine as missing from Wexford County, that it's working with law enforcement to investigate allegations of an illegal attempt to sell a voter machine. The Secretary of State's office also saying that Michigan elections remain safe and secure.
Fox's Jeff Manasso. It's now Hurricane Danielle, the first hurricane of what's been an unusually quiet season for the Atlantic. It's still far out at sea, though, and right now there are no coastal watches or warnings. It's not considered a threat to land. She had been considered a long shot. Well, now, odds makers like Serena Williams' chances to win a 7th U.S. Open title.
Before the Open began Monday, the odds on Serena Williams winning the tournament were 50-1 at Caesars Sportsbook. After she won her first-round match, the odds dropped to 30-1. After Serena defeated the second-ranked player in the world in her second-round match, the odds dropped again to below 15-1. Tonight, for the first time this tournament, Serena Williams is favored to win a match. For the fourth time in 5 nights, she is scheduled to play the first match of the evening session at Arthur Ashe Stadium, just after 7 p.m. Eastern Time, against the 46th-ranked player in the world, Ayla Tomljanovic from Australia. Jared Max, Fox News.
Stocks are rallying. The Dow's up 339 points. It's been getting back above 32K, just under it now. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News.
I'm Stuart Varney, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Stocks rose in early trading, helped by an update on the job market that indicates hiring has cooled slightly. It's a sign the Federal Reserve's higher interest rates may be having an impact on the workforce, but perhaps not enough to tip the economy into a deep slowdown. There were 315,000 new jobs created in August, down from more than 500,000 reported in July. The unemployment rate rose to 3.7%. The labor force participation rate rose to 62.4. That's a sign more people are returning to work. Ford shares are higher after its U.S. vehicle sales rose more than 27% in August from a year ago. SUV sales were up more than 47%. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Ginny Cosola, invested in you.
Now is the time to diversify your investments with gold and silver to protect your retirement. Hi, it's Lisa Booth for Bishop Gold Group. Bishop Gold Group sells physical gold and silver delivered to your door or put directly in your IRA. Call Bishop Gold Group and tell them Lisa Booth sent you to receive a silver gift on your first order. Dial pound 250 from your mobile phone and mention keyword Bishop Gold or go to bishopgoldgroup.com. You'll have the option to receive a one-time auto-dialed text message from Bishop Gold Group.
Thanks for listening to KHTS AM 1220, Canyon Country, California. K260 CO 98.1 FM, Santa Clarita, California.
With locations throughout the valley, Providence offers the most advanced technology and therapies for treating cancer in Southern California. Call 1-888-HEALING for your annual checkup or second opinion. The road to healing leads to Providence.
It's officially pumpkin spice season at Dunkin'. So much to choose from. Pumpkin cream cold brew, pumpkin spice signature latte, pumpkin donuts and muffins, pumpkin K-Cups. Now with the Dunkin' Rewards app, enjoy a $3 medium pumpkin cream cold brew or pumpkin spice signature latte now through September 13th. Order ahead with the Dunkin' app and accumulate points. Located on Bouquet Canyon in the Lowe's Shopping Center and on Sierra Highway in Canyon Country. Santa Clarita runs on Dunkin'.
The following is sponsored programming and does not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of KHTS or its ownership.
Welcome back. You're listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is Matt Watson, your host, and you are listening to SCVI and iLead School's Eye on the Valley. We had a great first hour. We were joined by Lisa Latimer, the director of iLead Aqua Dulce, talking about some of the really cool programs that they've got going on up at their school, iLead Aqua Dulce. If you were listening, she talked about everything from the animals they have on campus. They have pigs and emus and goats and miniature cows, not baby cows, but miniature cows. Like the cows really like full grown, come up to your waist. And so I always wondered, do you just get like enough milk to put cream in your coffee or what? They've got full glider planes that the kids learn how to fly, and they're learning robotics and culinary arts where kids are growing their own food and then learning how to prepare it, doing some amazing things out at iLead Aqua Dulce. Then we were joined by Tim Trauig. If you were listening, Tim is just... my goodness, he's doing amazing work with our first responders, taking care of those who take care of us. You know, we talk about PTSD, and our first responders do really experience what they call complex trauma, where it's just seeing these horrific things and dealing with these difficult situations day in and day out. It builds, it wears on you, and can cause so many negative secondary effects in their lives. And somebody really does need to take care of them. And Guardians of Santa Clarita Valley are doing that. They're getting together to help our first responders. We're talking about our firefighters, our law enforcement officers, our military men and women, and doing such great work. And you can be a part of it by attending Guardians events for Patriots Day, and remembering, gosh, what is it going to be, 21 years now since the attack on New York and our capital, the Pentagon, the September 11th tragedies. And they're getting together on September 10th this year in the parking lot of Higher Vision Church at 8 a.m. The event starts at 8. The program starts at 8:30, so you're going to want to get there and get situated, and then I'm going to be there first in line for those 9 a.m. pancakes. And they've got stuff for the kids to play. They've got the full fire rig that you can enjoy. They're going to have a classic car show. So just an amazing event for Patriots Day, and that supports Guardians of Santa Clarita Valley. Totally free event, but a great way for you to get connected to the incredible work that Tim and his team are doing. So you won't want to miss out. Again, that's going to be September 10th out at 8 a.m. out at the parking lot at Higher Vision Church. You know, we've got our assembly member coming up here in just a couple of seconds, and Big T, I think he's a little worried that his segment might get bumped today. He's getting a little bit stressed out, so he's already starting to text in his own input on the show. Big T's texting saying that Higher Vision rocks. Shout out to Pastor Jared. Whoop whoop. So, like I said, our assembly member, Suzette Martinez Valladares, is going to be calling in here in just a second, just waiting for the word from Engineer Matt, and she should be joining us in just a second. It sounds like Matt's got her coming in right now. So joining me is Suzette Martinez Valladares. She was elected to the California State Assembly in 2020, representing the 38th District. Suzette grew up in the San Fernando Valley, the granddaughter of a farm worker who worked alongside Cesar Chavez in the vineyards near Bakersfield. She was blessed with loving parents who valued education, family, and community responsibility. Suzette's career is based on serving others, and I've been able to witness that firsthand. She's got a passion for early childhood education as well as community advocacy. After college, Suzette went back to work as a district representative for former Congressman Buck McKeon. Y'all remember Buck? During that time, she was honored as a SCV 40 under 40 by the Santa Clarita Business Journal. She's also served as the executive director of Southern California Autism Speaks and CEO of the Little Steps of Faith preschool and child care facility that works to support underserved families in the San Fernando Valley and the Santa Clarita Valley. She and her husband Shane were blessed with their first child, Charlotte, in April of 2017, and Charlotte continues to grow. And Suzette currently grows in her service to our community in Sacramento, where she's just been an incredible advocate for justice, safety, education, and a lot of other issues that concern us here in the district. Assemblywoman Suzette Martinez Valladares, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Matt. It's so great to hear your voice, and as usual, thank you for inviting me to be on the show and this opportunity to connect with your listeners to update y'all on what I've been doing in Sacramento.
Well, and that's exactly what we want to do. We appreciate you calling in. So you are now kind of coming toward the tail end of your first term. So just kind of a overarching, what's it been like? Has it been exactly what you expected? Has anything surprised you? What's it been like?
There has been, well, I could spend the hour talking to you about just this one question. So, Yes, I actually just got back from Sacramento back to Santa Clarita yesterday. We ended our second year of session on August 31st, which is actually we're constitutionally required to pass all of our bills by August 31st in the second year. And we were up until I think I left the assembly floor at about 1 in the morning on Wednesday night. And it has been a whirlwind of a first term. When I was sworn in, Matt, and I think we've had this conversation before, and you'll have to pardon me, I'm actually getting out of my car right now. I'm a mama, and I had to drop off Charlotte at kindergarten this morning, so I was running a little late. But to get back to your question, it has been an amazing 2 years. It has been a roller coaster in so many ways, starting from the beginning. And as I mentioned, I think we've had this conversation before. When I was sworn in, it was unlike any other swearing in any other time in the Assembly's history.
Right.
You know, I came in at the beginning of a pandemic, and when I was sworn in, we weren't sworn in on the Assembly floor. Mm-hmm. We were sworn in at Golden One Center. And, I mean, I'm a Laker fan, so that was bittersweet for me. But, you know, the last 2 years have been amazing. We've gotten a lot done. It feels like it's been 4 or 5 years because it was just so different. You know, right. Everything was closed. When I was sworn in, Six Flags Magic Mountain had been closed for 10 months. 2 years later, we've accomplished a lot. So, highs and lows, amazing honor, privilege, and opportunity to be a voice for our community at a really critical time.
And you mentioned you've been incredibly busy. I think you've packed 6 or 7 years worth of work in Sacramento into just this one term. I know you're proud to have quite a few bills pass the legislature and are on their way to the governor's desk. I mean, I think you waited all of 45 minutes after being sworn in before you presented your first bill. You've currently got the Safe at Home bill moving forward, keeping victims of domestic violence, sexual assaults, elder abuse, things like that, keeping them safe. You have moved forward the foreign election interference bill, kind of maintaining the sanctity of our California elections, the emergency services grant program, the sex trafficking bill. Here's one that's really near and dear to our heart at Eye on the Valley as educators, and something we work hard at our schools, the dual language learner childcare and preschool bill. Talk to me about that bill and why that's important. That's AB 321, the dual language learner childcare and preschool bill.
Yeah, I'm really excited. That bill has taken me 2 years to pass. Wow. But just this last Monday, it passed out of both houses, and it is on the governor's desk waiting to be signed. My background has primarily been in education advocacy and specifically early learning, right? We know as educators that when children at a young age have access to quality child care and preschool, they're really being set up for a lifetime of success because they are receiving the emotional, social, developmental foundations that they're going to need to be successful for the rest of their life. So for me, as a Latina, as somebody who, my grandparents, didn't speak, or my grandmother didn't speak the best of English. When my mom entered kindergarten, her dad, my grandfather, my papa, he's from Puerto Rico. He was in the Army. He spoke 5 different languages, but my mom didn't speak any English when she went into kindergarten. And, she would talk about how she had a really tough time in her early years. So it hit my family personally, going into our education system and not starting off with the strongest foundation. So what my bill is 321 does is it expands access for dual language learners, or for people who, for little ones or littlest learners who don't speak English. We make them a priority in getting into preschool and into childcare, so we can set those very important foundations so that when they enter kindergarten, they're more ready and have a stronger foundation to be successful for the rest of their life.
And I love that. And I love just the name of it, because we've taken a pretty significant shift when it comes to dual language learners over the last couple decades, that we don't see that as a deficit. We now know that being able to speak multiple languages early on in life sets kids up for a greater level of success, but they need to be able to access the curriculum in English, of course. So it's amazing that you're doing such incredible things to just protect and further all of our communities. So thank you for that. Wanted to talk to you about something that you and I discussed the last time you were on. We talked about redistricting with the 2020 census information that has been coming through over the last couple of years. Your district has changed a bit since you were first elected. So what does your district look like now? What communities are in your district, and how is that going to affect what your job looks like?
Yeah. So just, to back it up a little bit, because not everybody, I think, pays attention to the way government works and politics the way you and I do. So for those of y'all listening, we go back to 8th grade civics, and every 10 years constitutionally, the U.S. Is required to conduct a census or count of everyone across the United States. And after that census occurs, every level of government is required to redraw their boundaries. And that's because populations move. And, we have a system of representation and equal representation, which means, similar population sizes for different levels of government. So in the state assembly, our state assembly boundaries were redrawn. And it is bittersweet for me for a lot of reasons. I currently represent the 38th Assembly District, which includes Santa Clarita, Agua Dulce, Simi Valley, home of the Reagan Library, which is just a phenomenal place.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm sad that my district is changing. I'm going to be running I am running for re-election in the 40th Assembly District. Okay. But what's kind of amazing about the 40th Assembly District is it's quite literally the district boundaries or the boundaries that built me. So my new district will include all of Santa Clarita, will include more of the San Fernando Valley, so Northridge, Porter Ranch, Chatsworth, Granada Hills, and Santa Clarita. And there's also Sunland, is a little bit of Sunland in there, okay. I think a block or two of Sylmar. What's so cool about the district is, like I mentioned, I was born in Granada Hills at Granada Hills Hospital, which is now Granada Hills High School Charter School. I went to, my first job was at Six Flags Magic Mountain. I went to College of the Canyons. I'm a Matador CSUN alum. This district built me. So it's actually really exciting to run to represent them in the 40th Assembly District.
I love that. So it's kind of expanded to the south a little bit to include all of your early days stomping grounds. That is cool. So let's get back to the stuff that you've been busy doing in Sacramento. I know you are, I think you used to be the vice chair of the Arts, Entertainment, Sports, Tourism, and Internet Media Committee there in the Assembly. And that, for your specific district, for our community here, that's a rather important committee. So what have you accomplished in kind of that role, and what effect have you been able to have on our community, specifically dealing with those important sectors of our community?
Yeah, I requested to be on this committee. For a lot of members, they don't necessarily want to be on this committee because it's a big committee. We oversee a lot. But for me, it's so vital for our community for a variety of reasons. So as vice chair, of the committee, or of this committee of the arts, entertainment, sports, tourism, internet, media, we oversee theme parks, tourism, entertainment, so Hollywood, sports, so, college sports, pretty much sports venues, anything that you can think of that's under the entertainment sector goes through our committee. And this is vital for our committee for our community for a lot of reasons. As I mentioned, my first job was at Six Flags Magic Mountain. I was there for 8 years. I rose up the ranks, know that park like the back of my hand. And when I was sworn in, they had been closed for 10 months with no pathway, no guidelines for reopening.
Right.
So one of the very first things I did, this is even before I was sworn in, I called the newly appointed chair of the committee and I said, hey, we need to get theme parks open. Assemblywoman Sharon Quirk-Silva lives in Orange County. Disneyland is vital for an economic engine for Orange County.
Yeah.
And we said, let's get together. Let's write legislation that will give theme parks a guideline for reopening during COVID. It wasn't a popular time to do it. We were at the surge in January when we introduced our bill at the end of January. And we got so much support across California for this bill that we never even had to have a hearing on it. The governor took our language and gave theme parks guidelines for reopening and industry across California. That was one of my biggest accomplishment for our district. But we've done a lot of things, including expanding the film credit for our Hollywood industry. Again, COVID hit them really hard.
Yeah.
In our community, we have not only people that work above the line on TV shows and movies, we have the below the line workforce, the people who, paint sets, build sets, do lighting, post-production.
Yeah.
They live in our community, and ensuring, that we have a strong voice that understands their needs on this committee has been a highlight for me, and I'm looking forward to continuing to be a voice for our community on this committee.
There were so many sectors that were just absolutely halted and shut down by the pandemic, and you worked so hard to get people back to work, to get our community back on track. Assemblywoman Suzette Valladares is joining us this morning. When we get back, Suzette, I want to talk about some other issues that are really important to our community, like school funding, school safety, public safety. So for my listeners, don't go anywhere. This is Matt Watson with our Assemblywoman Suzette Valladares, and this is SCVI and iLead Schools Eye on the Valley. You're listening to your hometown station, KHTS.
Live theater is back and thriving at the Canyon Theater Guild. Located in downtown Newhall on Main Street, Canyon Theater Guild produces top-notch shows featuring excellent local and regional talent, musicals, plays, and workshops for young thespians. CTG has it all. The Canyon Theater Guild is located on Main Street and 6th, or you can call 661-799-2702, and the box office staff would love to help you. Find the CTG online at canyontheater.org. No contract pest control. Did you hear that? Yes, Unipest has no contract, low impact, affordable, and environmentally and family friendly pest control options with orange oil or other family friendly products. Whether it's ants, spiders, gophers, termites, or bed bugs, Unipest Termite and Pest Control has an effective, eco-friendly option for you. Call Unipest today for a free orange oil inspection at 661-BUG-7575 or visit unipest.com.
If you've been thinking of giving your house a facelift but don't know where to start, turn to the experts at Preferred Glass and Windows. You can upgrade your home within a day by replacing your windows, entry door, shower enclosure, or even your patio door. Upgrading doors and windows can help lower your heating and AC costs by up to 35%. Colors, designs, and options are endless, and all installations come with a lifetime guarantee. Preferred Glass and Windows is your one-stop glass shop and so much more. For a free consultation, call 661-255-1170. That's 255-1170.
Your hometown station.
KHTS is the only station I listen to.
98.1 FM and AM 1220.
Welcome back. You're listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is SCVI and iLead Schools Eye on the Valley. I am your host, Matt Watson, and I'm joined this morning by the Honorable Assemblywoman Suzette Valladares. Suzette, you know our show is sponsored by SCVI and iLead Schools, and you know all schools in California will tell you that we lag behind when it comes to school funding. As a state, we sit about middle of the road, which is not okay. We used to be tops in spending and tops in performance. Now we're middle of the road in spending and even lower than that in performance. But especially here in Santa Clarita, while we have some of the best schools in the country, they are some of the lowest funded schools in the state. Now, recently, the state has really stepped up and listened to us and injected our schools with some great sources of funding. So can I ask you specifically, what is it that you and the Assembly have done in order to get us over that huge hump that we really needed? What have you done to help increase funding for schools that we needed so desperately?
Right. So, you know, when I was first last year, I was so honored to have served on the budget committee, the subcommittee on education. And it was really a phenomenal experience and really gave me a lot of opportunity to be able to push forward, to advocate for, to mold our spending on education. And you're right, Matt, you know, for too long, our per pupil spending in California has not been to par with the rest of the nation, especially when you consider we are, you know, people like to tout that we are the 5th largest economy, you know, in the world, yet we hadn't been spending what other people were spending what other states were spending per pupil for a long time. I'm proud to say that, you know, we have increased Prop 98 funding for education by $37.2 billion.
Yes, ma'am.
We have made a huge insert of resources for schools, but there's still so much that needs to be done. You know, early on, having conversations with our superintendents, with my subcommittee, with my colleagues, I was having the conversations about giving schools more flexibility on how to spend this money. And they continue to need more flexibility on spending this money. You know, I read, you know, this week, you know, some of the data back from our latest, the nation's latest math and reading outcomes for 9-year-olds, for third graders. And we know that in the education industry, you know, third grade math and reading scores are a huge indicator of where we're going to be in a decade, a generation from now.
Yes, they are.
And they are bad. The numbers are really bad right now, Matt. Our kids have suffered from pandemic closures.
Yeah.
So this insertion of class of cash and resources is vital, but we need to give schools and districts more flexibility on how to spend this. You know, so it's something that I've been pushing for. Did you have a question about that?
Well, yeah, definitely. And you're absolutely right. I saw the exact same data that you did, and our test scores nationwide dropped more than they've dropped since 1990, which was the year that I left public school, which I'm trying not to take personally.
Yeah.
But and this infusion that you and your colleagues have given schools is going to be a huge help. But I am a little worried, Suzette, as we step into a recession now. Can we continue to expect these funding increases to remain or continue, or is this something that we need to, as schools, we need to start looking at tightening our belt again?
Yeah, frankly, you know, Matt, I'm worried too, which is a key reason why running for re-election and winning is so vital for me, is to be able to be a voice. Because, you know, the non-legislative analyst office of our state, it's nonpartisan, told the legislature, you need to cut taxes because we're going to hit a recession. We can't continue to spend like we've been spending. And when we hit, you know, that cliff, we're going to have to cut programs. And we cannot afford to cut resources to students.
No,
especially coming out of this pandemic when we've seen, the detriment that it's done to the foundations of learning. I am extremely worried, which is why I also think we need more, with the insertion of cash that schools and districts have had, they actually haven't been spending it all. And we need to create some flexibility for them to be able to use that for years when we may have to cut education funding. And I will never be a proponent for cutting education funding. But we could look at a really scary recession coming on. Mm-hmm. So you're absolutely right. To add a little bit, though, I feel like we went I got really depressed really quickly because we're talking about potential, cuts if things don't get better in the state. I'm hopeful too, right? Mm-hmm. That, we can lead in California and we can work. And I have been working across the aisle to cut taxes, to do everything that we can to ensure that business has the flexibility, that we can pull back on regulations. We can make it easier to do business in California because ultimately businesses, taxpayers, if our businesses and taxpayers are healthy, then we'll continue to have a healthy budget. But we need strong voices in the legislature to work on that.
Absolutely. John Kennedy taught us that when we cut taxes, we actually can increase tax revenue because we stimulate business and things like that. So it is cyclical. When we're supporting our businesses, we can actually infuse vital community services like school funding and things like that. Suzette, we can't talk about schools and policy and things like that without talking about school safety. It is on the forefront of every parent's mind, and even folks that aren't parents are worried about school safety. Now, you introduced Assembly Bill 312, the Saugus Strong Act, which gives students a safe, convenient way to report concerning behavior, threats, or potential violence on campus. So tell me what was going through your office. What was your thought process behind that bill?
Yeah. So a few things were in my mind, when I had originally introduced this, Safe to Tell bill in the Assembly earlier this year. And, I'm a mom of a now kindergartner. I come from an education background. I ran a nonprofit preschool and childcare center. At the nonprofit, I had to work with my staff to do active, shooter drills with 2, 3, 4, and 5-year-olds. And that's, when I took on that role and realized that the world that we're living in, this phenomenon of mass shootings and school shootings, is scary. Mm-hmm. And we have to be prepared, 1. 2, we have to work to prevent. So, obviously our community too, at Saugus High, fell victim to this phenomenon and lost the lives of 2 innocent teenagers, Dominic Blackwell and Gracie Mullenberger. Mm-hmm. And our community is still healing from that. Yeah. So for me, it was about what can we do in California to prevent school shootings, from a mom's perspective, from an educator's perspective, from a community member whose community was impacted by this, and ultimately the representative of our community. And it became very clear when we looked at the data, when we looked at the Safe to Tell program, that the Safe to Tell program saved lives. There is 20 years of data. It's been used in states in Colorado and Connecticut. There's 22 other states that have an anonymous reporting system, which is what my Safe to Tell bill would have done. Mm-hmm. My bill didn't even get a hearing in the state assembly. It didn't even get a hearing, and I was livid. So after the Uvalde shooting,
I want to back up for just a second, Suzette. That shocks me. So you put together a bill designed to help kids speak up when they see potential violence and stop it before it happens on their campus. You introduced that bill, and it didn't even get a hearing?
It didn't even get a hearing.
Oh.
And this is kind of, unfortunately, the way that some of the politics works and special interests,
Wow.
And I'm not going to get, into that because it's because when I'm determined and when I'm focused, nothing will stand in my way. Okay. And, after the Uvalde shooting, I just remember watching, the news and, crying my eyes out, remembering what our community was going through, hurting all over again. And what I ended up doing is I gutted a bill in the state Senate and we strengthened it. We strengthened the bill, which is why we called it the Saugus Strong Act.
All right.
And it got through, it got through our education committee. It's still in appropriations. We're working on the bill. We're making it a better bill. And I want to bring it back, next year and get it to the governor's desk next year, a stronger bill. We know that when you have, what this bill would have done is created an anonymous reporting system at the California Department of Education, where we would have 24/7 counselors running and trained professionals running this call center, website, app, text messages, where students could anonymously report bullying, online bullying, suicidal thoughts, tips for mass shootings, or planned, kids that felt like they had nowhere to go. They could report it to this system. And 20 years of data shows that this saves lives. In California, there's 1,000 school districts.
Mm-hmm.
There are only 36 schools, and we're luckily here in Santa Clarita, we have our own system. Only 36 school districts have an anonymous reporting system.
Wow.
1,000 districts. That scares me because we know this tool works. It'll save lives. And our kids need this support right now. You have, your teenagers are growing up now, but what kids deal with in high school is unreal. I can't imagine what it would be like to be in high school right now.
Well, yeah, and I remember things were rough when you and I were in high school, but when the bell rang and we went home, it was done. But now with phones and social media and things like that, things like bullying, intimidation, the pressure to keep up is a 24/7 proposal for our kids. Gosh, I love it, though, that your bill, just like the Saugus community, is back and stronger than ever. So thank you so much for pushing for that and not being deterred. Now, talking about safety, let's talk about public safety real quick. You've worked really hard advocating for full sentences rather than early release for violent criminals. However, I think those early release programs are supported by our current county district attorney, who recently dodged a recall attempt. Santa Clarita's always prided ourselves on our community's safety, but where do you see us going now? Are we headed in the right direction, Suzette?
Well, unfortunately, I think LA County as a whole, and I think California as a whole, is not headed in the right direction. When the voters in California voted on Proposition 47 and Proposition 57, we were sold a raw deal, right? We were told that, specifically with early release, that sentences would only be reduced up to 20%. Well, the shooting that we saw in Sacramento a couple of months ago, it was a late night, ended up being a gang shooting from individuals that had been released early that had served, less than 20% of their sentence, right? They had a 10-year sentence and they served like 3 years, right? Wow. They served 30% of their sentence. We know the data shows that early release isn't working and it increases crime.
Yeah.
That's what we're seeing. We're feeling it. The data shows that, right?
Yeah.
We're seeing now, and the governor wants to make it permanent, a 40% reduction in sentences, ultimately leading to earlier release. Now, I'm someone who believes that we can be tough on crime, but we can also actually work on rehabilitating people, right? I don't think that we need to lock people away and throw away the key, but let's actually invest in programs that actually rehabilitate and not release people early when they haven't been rehabilitated. And we know they are more likely to go out into the streets and commit another crime. So yes, I've been a strong voice for that. I have a few bills I've also presented to protect victims. I mean, society seems backwards right now, Matt.
Mm-hmm.
We're living in a time, it seems, that where we are criminalizing victims and we are victimizing criminals. It's backwards.
Right. You're absolutely right, and it is frustrating. Suzette, we do need to take one more quick break. We're here with Assemblywoman Suzette Martinez-Valladares. When we come back, we'll be talking about homelessness and the hope and the hope for the American dream that Suzette and her colleagues are working to bring our communities. Stay tuned. This is SCVI and iLead Schools Eye on the Valley. I'm Matt Watson on your hometown station, KHTS.
Accidents happen, but rest assured Patterson's Collision Center is here to help. Patterson's is a family-owned and operated collision repair facility providing the Santa Clarita Valley with premium collision repairs. Patterson's prides itself on being the only California-certified green repair shop in all of Santa Clarita. They are insurance claim specialists and even offer payment plans for your deductible. For personalized, friendly service, visit pattersonscollisioncenter.com or call 294-1011 and let Patterson's Collision Center help ease your worries today.
Right now, as you're listening to this, the last thing on your mind is needing a plumber.
Whitaker Plumbing understands.
That's why we want you to store this in the for later use file in your brain.
Whitaker Plumbing will handle all emergencies.
Your toilet won't stop running?
Call Whitaker.
Your sink is dripping?
Call Whitaker.
Your garbage disposal sounds funky?
Whitaker will handle it.
Upgrading your water heater? All your plumbing services with one call.
Whitaker Plumbing. Whitaker with 1T Plumbing, SCV.com.
There are times when nothing else will do because you know exactly what you want. You want the Alamo, the taste of true Mexican cooking at its best. At Alamo, you're treated to a taste that is truly Mexican with an atmosphere to match. Enjoy a Cadillac margarita, try a mucho burrito, or sizzling fajitas. Voted the best Mexican food in the SCV and a favorite of former supervisor Mike Antonovich. Alamo Rotisserie in Granary Square, serving Santa Clarita for over 30 years.
No doubt about it. LA is an awesome place to live. But even while living in the land of beaches and mountains, it's safe to say that we could all use a real vacation right about now. One where you don't have to stop for gas, cook your own meals, or strip your own sheets. Lucky for us, Princess Cruises has a port right here in LA. Now, for a limited time, LA residents can sail with Princess from just $89 per day to the beaches of Mexico, the tropics of Hawaii, or cruise along the California coast without getting stuck in traffic. That's right, just $89 per day. And while these great destinations aren't going anywhere, these deals won't be around forever. So visit princess.com, call 1-800-PRINCESS, or contact your travel advisor to book your cruise today. Set sail with LA's cruise line, Princess Cruises. Terms and restrictions apply. Promotional pricing ends November 30th, 2021. Ships are Bermudan and British registry. Before booking, consult the CDC website at www.cdc.gov.
Hey Doris, if you're missing Consumers Furniture, you can now find all their great lines of furniture at A Royal Suite Home Furnishings. Check out their vast showroom. No interest financing available and 0% down on approved credit. A Royal Suite Home Furnishings, featuring heritage quality furniture made in the USA. They even hired Consumer Furniture's decorator, Scott. A Royal Suite Home Furnishings in Center Point across from Sam's Club. ARoyalSuite.com.
Hurry to their Labor Day weekend tent sale with savings up to 70%.
Your hometown station, KHTS.
Welcome back. You're listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is SCVI, and iLead School's Eye on the Valley, and I am your host, Matt Watson. I'm joined this morning by the Honorable Assemblywoman Suzette Valladares. We're so excited to be able to have such a long conversation with you, Suzette. I mentioned before the break I wanted to talk about homelessness. It's an issue that we've seen, at least anecdotally, you know, as you're driving around town, it seems to have increased pretty significantly over the last few years here in Santa Clarita. I don't know if it's pandemic related or if there are other issues, but you and Senator Wilk recently worked together to secure $3 million in funding from the 2022-23 state budget for the construction of the new Bridge to Home Santa Clarita Valley facility. Can you talk to me about homelessness in our community? Like I said, it seems to be growing. Not sure if I'm wrong, but how's this new facility going to help the problem?
Yeah, so Matt, LA County is home to 67,000 unhoused homeless individuals. Wow. 67,000.
Wow.
You know, and you're right. We see it here in Santa Clarita. It's not as prevalent as other parts of LA County, but we all see the increase. You know, I go down to the San Fernando Valley, and they homeless encampments, you know, RVs parked along, you know, a mile stretch of Balboa or Rinaldi. The filth, the human tragedy that we're seeing, you know, it is definitely here in Santa Clarita too. We all see it. You know, we have been so blessed and honored to have had Bridge to Home as an active homeless shelter. Actually, my cousin managed the facility for over 15 years. We've always had homeless in Santa Clarita, but we see the growing population and the need for more beds. Right. So Senator Wilk and I got together to finish off the funding that Bridge to Home was going to need to build their new facility. It really excited. It is going to house 60 homeless individuals and 8 families. It's going to have some phenomenal features: a kitchen, a technology center, a playground to help families kind of feel normal when they're living in an unhoused situation. It's really meant to be an emergency shelter. So it's, you know, a transition, right? So there are different phases of being homeless and different individuals and families in different, you know, scenarios. Every situation is different. This is going to help it's going to be continue to be an emergency shelter. You know, I also want to mention, though, that we just was really proud to have voted for the CARE Act on this past Tuesday, which is going to fund and strengthen care courts across California as that much needed component of moving people off of the street into care facilities to address mental health and addiction. You know, part of the problem is housing now. Yeah. But Matt, you see it. When you see a homeless individual on the streets, you can tell. Most of them have some type of mental health condition, are on drugs. It's inhumane. So really excited that, you know, that policy is moving to the governor's desk. It's, you know, he was a big proponent of it. And I feel like it's a genuine, real first step in doing the most compassionate thing, which is getting people off of the street and into care.
And dealing with those root causes so that we can, you know, maybe nip it before it turns into that secondary effect of unhoused individuals. Suzette, I'm so sorry. I know you listen to the show, and you know that my mom makes me put my stupid brother on at the end of the show. And when we heard you and you were calling in, we decided to cancel Big T's segment today. But he's texting me now, saying that he has a question of his own. So I'm so sorry. Would you mind a question from Big T?
Anything for Big T.
All right. You know that Big T is big in the Hispanic community. He says minority groups have traditionally voted for a single party. Having married into a Hispanic family like he does, having a son who works in public service like he does, wanting to be an advocate for the Hispanic community, he wants to know if you it's interesting. We've got you as a Hispanic Assembly member. We've got Mike Garcia in Congress. Have you seen, this is Tony's question, have you seen that trend start to shift from just the one-party option for that community? Meaning, have you seen Hispanic minority voters consider all of their options? He mentions, Big T's a fan of Jackie Robinson. He says, Jackie Robinson said not to let either party think that they have your vote, make them earn it. So with that in mind, the second question he asks, first of all, have you seen a shift? And how have you and other elected officials in our community reached out to the Hispanic and other communities?
Well, I've definitely seen a shift. And, I do get this question a lot. How have you outreached to the Hispanic community? And it's kind of a strange question for me because I am Latina, right? So for me, I'm like, well, I'm not, outreaching to a community. I am a part of the community. So for me, it's been phenomenal to be now a leader within the community. I was a founding member of the SCV Latino Chamber of Commerce. I've always been an advocate for supporting Latino businesses, for supporting the fastest growing business owner, Latinas, across the nation. I've been a huge advocate and pushing forward policies that help business in specific, and which includes Latino-owned businesses. But I think that I've been, a lifelong Republican. And I was a lifelong Republican because I looked at my values, whether it was work ethic, family values, giving back to your community, working hard. Those things were core values, which I think also happen to be core values to the Latino community, lots of communities, but, from my perspective. And I think their vote has been taken for granted for. We saw this during the pandemic. They were one of the communities most hit hardest by COVID. The mortality rate for Latinos was through the roof. Their access to vaccines was slower than other communities. They were most impacted by school closures. You look at the outcomes for 9-year-olds for Latino students. It's horrific. It's shameful. It's I think it's what the Latino community has dealt with for the past couple of years with COVID is monumental. In terms of it's a civil rights crisis, and it has been frustrating. And I think the Latino community is now, the voting community is paying attention. They're like, you have not been there. Your policies that have negatively impacted us. We're done, and we're going to vote for people that are going to respect our values, that are going to do what's in the best interest of uplifting our communities and ultimately all communities. I think the sleeping giant has been awakened, and it's going to be interesting to see what this November looks like, because I think we're going to see that more Latinos are going to be picking Republican candidates because they've seen what progressive policies have done to their communities.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, Suzette, that is all the time we have. Thank you so much for calling in this morning, and good luck in November. I want to thank my other guests, Lisa Latimer, Tim Trauig from Guardians of Santa Clarita Valley. Thank you for listening. Life is hard. We're out for commercial. It was a good show.
Boundless opportunities to think critically and imagine